We don't have an intro for the show.
Damn it, Nathan! What happened to Movies Are Back?
Was Fast and Furious exclusive, and if we ever do Fast X, we can bring it back. But we're kind of under the gun of 13 more commentaries.
Who put that gun in our face? Who did that? That's weird. That's a good question. Yeah, how did that happen?
I'm not saying I'm that word that rhymes with idol, but
I don't know what word rhymes with idol.
It's part of just the end of the word. Don't want to get demonetized too early. Anyway, I like it.
Anyways, we're back. It's been a good 2 weeks. Again, we were doing every other week because of Star Wars and the Bad Batch. The Bad Batch is over now as of last week. Star Wars week, basically May the 4th, my birthday. Bad Batch, Tales of the Empire. So, Hyperspace. Thank you very much. I feel 15 again. No, I feel
Zac Efron motherfucker 17 again.
I've never seen that movie. I don't think I have.
It's a good movie.
I always confuse it with, of course, Freaky Friday and stuff like that, and other movies where they get younger. Actually, I think I did see that movie. Now I think about it. Anyways, whatever happened to our commentaries of like the decoms? That's been on our list for a long time.
I want to do that. Absolutely. Yeah. I will commentary every decom with you. We can do it.
We did holes, right? We snuck in.
We did do holes, but that's also not an actual decom.
Oh, here we go again. Yeah. It was in theaters. Who saw it in theaters, anyways? Anybody? Crickets?
I don't know what the qualification of like. I don't think it being in theaters makes it not a decom. I just think the Disney Channel didn't make it because High School Musical 3 was in theaters, but I would count that as a decom.
Me too. It's a Disney Channel. I mean, now I don't know. It's complicated. I never saw High School Musical 3, by the way, because it was in theaters. I'm like, I'm not paying money to see a movie where the rest of the franchise was on Disney Channel for free. I'm not gonna. You're gonna make me pay money.
Obviously, they aired it at some point, though.
It's true.
But I also haven't seen High School Musical 3 yet either.
That was after I left, though. I left Disney Channel. I closed the door on Disney after like I don't know, 2008, 7. I don't know. I think Sweet Life on Deck and Phineas and Ferb were the last things I remember watching on Disney Channel. Because people keep talking about like Good Luck Charlie. I never watched that.
I did.
I don't know what other shows. That was right afterwards because it was the same actress who was in Sweet Life on Deck. I remember they kept trying to like get people to watch it because she was on. Right? Am I wrong? Was it a different actress?
You're thinking of Debbie Ryan, but that was Bridget Mendler. I'm so glad I have Disney Channel lore.
All these actresses sound the same to me. Anyways, yeah, we're back. So I think we'll still do. Yeah, we'll have Hyperspace Hype next week because we had to cover everything that happened with Star Wars week, and Bad Batch finales and Tales of the Empire. Have you watched that yet? Tales of the Empire?
Not yet. I would have watched it today because I thought we were doing Hyperspace today, but
no.
I was mistaken.
But yeah, that's really good. Yeah, we'll see. But yeah, and then Acolyte's coming out very, very soon. But yeah, we still have some movie news to cover that's been happening over the past couple of weeks now. And we got some very interesting stuff. And we still have not talked about movies like Challengers, Kung Fu Panda. Or you finally saw Kung Fu Panda, at least. I talked a little bit about it, but you finally saw it, so we can go back and forth on that. Yeah. And then The Fall Guy. You saw The Fall Guy as well this weekend, right?
The Fall Guy? Yeah. Also, I mean, we both saw Abigail.
Yeah, we both saw Abigail. We've talked about, I don't know. I talked about Abigail with so many people. I don't know. That's why, I got to chill out on the podcast.
I saw Alien re-release.
True. How was it? You said that was a fun re-release, right?
Yeah, man, that was a great time. Completely slipped my mind that it was releasing on Alien Day, April 26th.
I didn't know we had an Alien Day. That Alien Day because that was the first. That's when Alien 1 was released.
No, it's because the planet they visit is LV-426, so 426.
Okay.
Yeah.
Cool. You learn something new.
The crux of our Star Wars day is based on a pun, man. We can't.
Right.
can't
I'm not
laugh
laughing it off. I'm
off.
just like
You scoffed a bit.
I scoffed. It's a small scoff.
You're not supposed to scoff. Anyway,
okay.
it was phenomenal.
Let's get started here. Let's go with the movie news first, and then we'll talk about these big movies that we saw over the past couple of weeks. So let's get the sad stuff out of the way first. There was a Gen V update while I was eating dinner the other day. And I was, it's a very difficult situation, the Gen V of it all, because, the actor Chance Perdomo passed away, very recently, very sad. We talked about it when it happened. Very, very tragic passing. But I think you mentioned it to me or somebody did that, like, they were going to a table read the day of his passing. At least somebody told me that.
True?
I don't know. Did you lie to me? I'm kidding. You probably didn't.
I didn't say anything about this.
Somebody did. Maybe it was false. Maybe it was true. I don't know what's fact and fiction. But either way, I don't know. Either way, we know they have to handle it very carefully, and they have to change things up dramatically because he was a core member of the cast going into season 2. So you always want to be like very similar to Chadwick's passing. It's like, how do you create a whole different movie when your lead actor is gone now? And the producers of Gen V came out over the weekend and said, as we continue to navigate the tragic loss of Chance Perdomo, everyone in Gen V is determined to find the best way to pay respect to his memory. We won't be recasting the role because no one can replace Chance. Instead, we have been taking the time and space to recraft our season 2 storylines as we begin production in May. We will honor Chance and his legacy this season. It's shocking to me, first of all, that the recasting part makes sense. They won't be recasting him. I think that's the right way to go. They're not going to put in X, Y, and Z actor to be like, hey, now you're I forget the character's name now. But yeah, you won't be playing this character. I don't know why the only character I remember from that show is Kate, at least name wise right now, because Kate was great. But yeah, so Chance's character is going to remain in universe. His portrayal of the character will remain in universe and not recasting him, which I think is a smart decision. Because for me, I'm like, it's just very icky and very difficult to immediately just swap in a different actor, especially in a show like this. Like, just came out last year. Was it last year, 2023, Gen V? Yeah. So it's a very difficult position to be in for if any actor were to step in. But I like that they're having him just stay in universe. I was telling Jalen, my brother, this over the weekend. I remember in the storyline, his father had that disease, like that brain disease, at the end of season 1, where Chance was going to his father, being like, what's going on? It was like a brain tumor for people within his family, at least with just a father. About like, if you continue controlling the metal, because he had like magneto powers basically, or something like that. If you continue using this, like, your tumor will grow. And this was happening to his father, and there was an idea that it might happen with Chance. So maybe they might go that route, or they just say he's on vacation. We shall see. But it was also very shocking that like they still beginning production in May for a show that has to like rewrite all the scripts. I assume so. Like, that's a very quick turnaround. Not saying it's bad or anything. I'm just surprised. Is all.
Right. Yeah. I mean, you seriously got to pivot plot lines depending on like how well integrated he was.
Exactly. Yeah. So I don't know where they're going to go from here. I don't know how they're going to work around it, but I applaud them for whatever they do. I trust these writers because I loved the first season of Gen V. It was such a big surprise, and I can't wait to see what they do with season 2. Any thoughts?
Absolutely. Yeah, I mean, I always say this every time this situation like this comes about in media. I just hope they refrain from just killing off the character just because they're like, well, we can't figure out a way out. Just do this and be done with it. Because like, unless you're Fast and Furious, everything does that, and I don't like it. So if they could, even because they could very easily just be like, because spoilers for the end of season 1 of Gen V, they're currently in custody, so they could easily be like, oh, they took him and they did experiments and he's gone. Like that would be horrible. Did a disservice. But if they were to like write something to be like, maybe they do take him, but then like some shit's going down around the facility, we don't cut to what's happening, but we know his character is doing some shit that's going to allow them to escape. That would be kind of cool.
That'd be really
In that way, if he were to be like a sacrifice situation, it would be a very honorable sense for the character. But it's all tricky.
It's all very tricky, and the way you're talking about it, I'm like, yeah, that's a good point. Like, I don't want them to just kill him off, and it's very tricky. Where like, do you make it a ceremonious exit where they like blatantly talk about where he is, or do you just be like, you just don't mention him at all, and the audience should just know that like he passed away, so we're just moving forward. I don't know. It's a very tricky situation. I'll have to wait and see how they adapt that. But yeah, so production begins in May, which is very exciting, though. I'm very excited for season 2 of Gen V, most likely premiering, if I had to guess, production in May, finished production around late fall. If I had to guess, season 2 would probably come around at the same time we got season 1, or maybe around like the April to June time span of 2025 for Gen V. So a year from now, we'll probably be seeing some Gen V show trailers, updates. But this does remind me, I didn't put it in the show notes, but The Boys season 4 trailer dropped. Did you watch that?
No, I didn't see the trailer, but I did see a screen grab of a couple of Gen V characters next to A-Train.
Yeah, I was going to bring this up. So, The Boys season 4 picks up right after the events of season 2 or season 1 of Gen V, where the election is hot on the trail for, the senator, the woman who can blow people's heads off.
So good with names in this universe.
I'm terrible today. I'm very tired, guys. Usually I'm on it. I do my research. I talk about stuff, but I'm a fan of The Boys universe. But yeah, the senator who can blow people's heads off.
I'm rusty because I'll watch these shows like as they're airing, and then I don't go back to them as much as I would like other stuff. So picking up the names after a period of time is a little tricky.
I looked up The Boys senator woman, and the name popped up. Victoria Newman. There we go. Victoria Newman is trying to get deeper into Congress. I think a presidential seat. She had that conference at the university, at the Gen V University, and she kind of got lambasted because of her thoughts on like Homelander and of people with non-superpowers. So that's going to be kicking off. I think we're going to be, and you're seeing it with a lot of the Boys season 2 promotion material. It seems like an upcoming election, which is very funny because, of course, they're probably going to do a lot of parodies on the real life U.S. election coming up this fall as well. But like it's basically setting up Homelander becoming more and more tyrannical. In season 1 through 3, he's kind of progressively losing control. At least within the 7, he's not able to pick out the members sometimes, and things were losing control. But towards the end of season 3, he started becoming more confident in his image and his ability to, get the people to go with him and not be against him. Even in the beginning of season 3, he kind of had a bad track with the whole "I dated a Nazi girlfriend" thing, which was hilarious. So he kind of had to step away from that. And then, it was always about the polls and how people perceive Homelander. And he was kind of squared in from all angles here. But then, he starts saying some stuff and he starts getting support from the masses. And then it builds up to the final scene of season 3 where, even his son, / Butcher's son, whatever you want to say there, comes in and doesn't kill a person in the crowd. And he starts getting more beloved, and his relationship with the Sun's going to be very interesting to follow as well. Mainly because I think the Sun's going to be the only deterrent to Homelander, both emotionally and physically. In terms of, you still there, Nathan? Froze a little bit on my screen. But but like emotionally, he still wants to be a father. So how is that going to contend with seeing how the Sun reacts to Homelander, who's becoming more of a Homelander fan than a Butcher fan, given how Butcher has been treating the Sun, as well as physically, of course. Homelander, he has very similar powers to Homelander. So if anybody's going to be ready to kill Homelander, it's probably going to be the Sun and not whatever Butcher's cooking up this season. As we see in the trailer, Butcher is setting up another anti-soup, whatever it is, disease, cocktail, whatever you want to call it. So yeah, just very interesting. And yeah, we see Kate and Sam from Gen V in the 7. We need some 7 members because he just obliterated Black Noir in season 3. That happened. Even though we do see Black Noir in the trailer. So what's happening there? I like how the Twitter account was like, hey, Black Noir, how'd you get here? It's like, is it a different person in the Black Noir suit? What's going on?
Could be flashbacks.
Could be flashbacks as well, yeah. So either way, they need to add some more characters into the 7 after last season because Starlight's gone, of course, she's been gone. But Homelander killed some people in season 3. And Black Noir's gone as well. So it's like we need to add some more characters. Kate and Sam, who again from the end of Gen V, spoiler alert, they even though they were the cause of the soup riot at the campus, they kind of became the heroes of the situation when Homelander showed up. They kind of spun it around in that Marie and her people, her friends, the good guys, the ones trying to stop the soups from killing everybody, they were the bad guys, and Kate and Sam saved the day, which is all a Vought spin. And now Kate and Sam, who have become, very pro-soup, have now joined the Vought, team. And I do believe we're going to get some complexity within that situation when season 2 drops. I don't think they're going to continue a lot of Kate and Sam storylines. I think they'll keep that with Gen V, but they're going to be in the 7, or they're going to be like in play here a little bit. So that's going to be very exciting to see, because I just love Kate and I love Sam, and their storylines in season 1 are very surprising by the end. So yeah, that's kind of it. So yeah, what do you think Kate and Sam are going to be getting up into? You think they're going to be having a lot of screen time in the Boys universe?
That's a good question. I have no idea because I really don't know. Well, even like before moving forward, like back when we were watching the first, or just finishing the first season of Gen V, we were like, will there be a season 2 if they're in the Boys? We're like trying to figure that out, and since they are, it's like how much you do there, tell their story here versus continuing to a second season, because then it's also interesting because now they're starting to get into the Mando of it all, of like, we're doing a storyline in a different show, and if you're in the season 2 of that one and you didn't catch what was up, make sure you watch that recap, don't skip it type deal.
Exactly. So I'm just very curious about that, because I always get like you bring up Mando, you bring up other shows, like I'm very iffy on continuing the storylines of another show into another show. So like the Book of Boba Fett, Mando disaster, not a fan of that, but we'll see how this goes. But let's change topics, but stick with superhero news. Nathan, we got some Superman stuff to talk about today, which is, lucky us. You put it on the thumbnail. It looks great. Great thumbnail, by the way. How long did that take you? You're a master of that stuff. I'm like, I give Nathan the show notes, and he makes a thumbnail. I'm always like, yeah, how fast is he on the drop here?
I mean, hang on, I can corroborate this.
Big word.
Thank you. You sent me that at 5:10. I pretty much started working on it immediately, and as soon as the thumbnail's done, I make the link, and I tweeted the link at 6:17, so give roughly like an hour.
Nice. You jammed Lincoln Park while you're doing it?
They were in the rotation on my Spotify station. It is funny though, because it's just I know there are like softwares that I could just so easily like click, boop, boop, and I've cut out the image, but I'm like meticulously like erasing around there and shit. Oh man,
that's why I paid the big bucks. So Nathan, this has been, what's the phrase? Putting the internet on storm. I don't know what it's called.
Okay, Grandpa.
Yes.
I don't know.
You don't know either. This is crazy because I saw this while I was teaching. I forget. I was teaching a lesson. I sat down, saw the image. That looked cool. Got back to teaching. I get out like around 3:30, and it's like hate all over the TL. I'm like, whoa!
I saw it within like 2 minutes of it dropping, and I was just like, oh my god, here's Superman. I'm so happy. Like, this is great. Here we go. The new age of DC's coming. This is like the beginning of the road we're going down. It's our first look at the guy.
Couldn't agree more.
And it's really cool. And it is, and just like off the bat, looking at it, it's a really like it's interesting. Like, I know a lot of people are memeing at the idea, but like there's shit going down, and he's just like, all right, time to go to work.
Time to go to work. That's why I got that vibe too. People are like, oh, is he looking tired or lazy? Or I'm like, obviously his suit, his suit is roughed up there. Can I zoom in a bit more? No, I can't. Whatever. Like obviously his suit is like roughed up. You see some dust, and the S is has some scarring on it.
Are you able to like open like right click into a new tab and then like zoom in on the browser?
Oh, I see what you're saying. No, not really.
All right.
Or maybe. People have seen the image. It's all over the TL. Put it up on your phone. But yeah, I got the sense that like, there's scarring on the S. Like he's busy being Superman. He's been doing this a lot. It got a sense of like a routine for Superman. And I like the suit. I like the S. I like the the blue. People complain about the lines on the suit, but I'm like, it doesn't matter to me. It looks really
never
clean.
bothered me with any like suit. I know like the discourse of like overly over designed suits, which like I can understand, but also like it really doesn't detract from me at all.
Yeah, but overall, I think there was a very solid first look. There's chaos in the background. He looks like Superman. I think this is our first time seeing outside of the costume. This is the first time seeing David in as personifying Superman. And I think it looks good. You see the hair curl there as well. I think he just looks like it's interesting. He looks like a younger Superman. Like he looks younger than Henry was in the first movie. I don't know the age Henry was in 2013. Oh, Henry just turned 41 actually, so we can do the math there.
So
he was like 30. Yeah, he was like 30. And I think David's around 30 as well. They're going for a young Superman. That look definitely matches that vibe as well. I like the boots. Oh, we didn't even mention it. The trunks. He has the trunks. If you can look closely, of course, he has like the red.
You look at his dick real close. Sorry.
But
sorry. If you look at his belt.
Definitely getting monetized. Anyways.
Yeah,
I like the suit.
That's cool. I can't agree with like people who like want to see like a more like
brighter
full look image, like instead of just being like hunched down and it's like creasing on itself, like just see like how it looks in just a broad full form. Like I can understand. I want to see that too, and obviously we'll get that. Like when the first poster comes, we'll get that.
Exactly.
But yeah, this is a nice like sentiment of like this is Superman. He's been through a lot, but he ain't stopping.
He ain't stopping. Job's not finished. And it's interesting, yeah, because the discourse is primarily focused on like there's always suit discord. I don't like the suit. The suit looks messy, which is I don't
I'm
think
I'm going through it right now with Cat 4.
it's insane. Oh, yeah, the whole Cat 4 stuff. Where I'm like, the suit never, ever, 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 ever detracts from my enjoyment of a movie.
Mm-hmm.
And I feel like people take too much time into a suit. Obviously, I don't want them going around in garbage bags. And there are bad cases where like the Doctor Doom Fantastic suit is horrendous. But if the character was good, I probably wouldn't care as much.
I
Yeah,
I was in a similar situation. And I know this is like a controversial thing, but like back when we got our first look at the Amazing Spider-Man 2 suit, which was a big switch up from the first one because I really loved the TASM 1 suit. When the second one popped up, I was like, oh, I don't care for that. But then, with every new trailer that came out and me watching the movie, I was just like, this is the sickest thing I've ever seen. I'm so excited. Andrew's doing great. Like, it doesn't matter.
Yeah. So you were the opposite there, right? I think most people didn't like the first TASM suit.
Yeah, and then most people like loved it. Like they call it, even today, like it's the most comic accurate Spidey suit, and like I definitely come around on it. But yeah, it's like in context of like going to experience the movie, it doesn't overly matter.
Isn't TASM out tonight in terms of the Spider-Man re-releases? Did that happen?
Yeah, it is.
Okay. There was so much fanfare with the Raimi trilogy the past 3 weeks. I wonder how much money this one's going to make tonight. Probably not as much.
A little less, but from what I've seen of theaters, they're still filling up a bit. Not sold out, but like filling up a good amount.
Good. Hopefully we get some revisionist stuff with TASM 2 next week, which I love. But again, I just think like a lot of the first look discourse, a lot of my friends on were just like, this looks awful. And I get it from a first look perspective, maybe. But even in general, I think it's a good suit. We can't see the full brunt of it, obviously, because that's not the point of it. But just a tease. It's a tease. The movie comes out in over a year from now. And I think we're going to see some more stuff. I think they're primarily doing this. Why? Because we're seeing they're still in the midst of filming. They want to get it out here first before we see a big suit reveal in random city X, him with a wire on his back. And you're like, oh, that's our first look of Superman. It looks messy as hell. And
that's what happened with Supergirl.
Yeah.
She was just hanging around.
Exactly. So it's just like, we'll get our first look here in official circumstances, and then we'll get it teased or get it shown all over the place in filming. And then, of course, we'll get some more material there. But yeah, suit discourse just always angers me because I'm like, it's a suit. It does not matter. But people are like, this looks like ass. I'm like, well, okay, cool. Yeah, I just don't get it. I really don't get it. It's hard for me to criticize a suit. I'm not a fucking designer, right? I'm just an average person. Like, I don't know what criteria works for a good suit, bad suit. They did all the time for the new Batman suits. Ben Affleck suit, trash. The Pattinson suit's trash. I'm like, it doesn't matter.
I do like the idea of like Superman going through like different instances of saving people and like his suit's getting battle worn, and I hope this happens in the movie that like he doesn't have a way of patching it yet, so he just kind of has to just like keep wearing the tattered clothes.
That'd be really cool. How does he usually clean it?
I don't know. I mean, that tends to be like an empty space on a lot of superhero properties. You would presume maybe something in like Fortress of Solitude has something that can fix it up.
And I forget the synopsis for this movie. Is he aware of Fortress of Solitude yet, or does he come across it in this movie?
I don't know.
I feel like there was a synopsis about that I can't call.
That was another thing I was curious about. Is like with the stuff going on in the background, is that alluding to Brainiac?
Good question. A lot of people have been wondering what's going on there in the background. I have to assume Brainiac. The purple blue lighting kind of symbolizes, or reminds people of Brainiac. But I'm not sure exactly. I would maybe. Is that confirmed that he's a factor in this movie? That's just still rumors.
Probably just rumors because like I don't think any movies touched on Brainiac, so
okay, yeah,
do something fresh instead of just like it's Zod again.
Oh god, Oh, God. But Brainiac, and we know Lex Luthor is a very prominent figure in this movie, played by the Beast actor himself,
Nicholas Holt.
Nicholas Hoult. Yes, from your favorite movie, the vampire movie with Nicolas Cage.
Oh, right, Renfield. Yeah.
Renfield.
I dug the Renfield stuff. The detective element, I'm like, all right, do we have to?
So that's a very cool first look. It's been, putting the internet on storm, whatever the fucking phrase is. Let's just stick with Superman though, because I have some Superman. I'll share it in a second. My Adventures of Superman, which you watched all of season 1 for, right?
I did. I
Yeah.
adore that show, dude.
That was a very fun show. Surprisingly, and not even surprisingly, because I was hyped for it when it was being discussed. But man, it really blew me away with season 1. I loved the storytelling. I love the way the trio of characters kind of worked off of each other. And we got a short teaser at only 13 seconds. We'll watch it. That's loud. We'll watch it anyways. Prep for season 2 comes out at the end of this month, May 25th. Here we go. How's it look? Good, perfect.
Pretty good, yeah.
So yeah, My Adventures Superman. We'll watch this 13-second teaser, then we'll talk about it. Yeah.
Ever since that alien showed up, Metropolis has been afraid of freaks and destruction.
I'm not alone.
Bro,
We can finally take out Superman.
such great designs.
Ever since that
Teasing two very prominent figures there in Lex and Kara. I'm a huge Supergirl fan. I love Supergirl. And I love that. Like, he's not alone. A very big factor for season 1 was that isolation factor where he felt so alone. He was very scared to even tell Lois and Jimmy about his situation. Then they Lois felt betrayed, all kind of stuff. But now, he let his inner circle know. Lois and Jimmy. I like that Jimmy kind of knew it for a long time too, by the way. I was like, yeah, the whole door thing, yeah, that was kind of gave it away. So Lois and Jimmy are now in the inner circle. Clark's not feeling as isolated anymore. And just as he's feeling comfortable, the X Factor comes in, Supergirl, which makes it very interesting as well. I can't. We get some new villains here. I don't remember this person. That looked very similar to what he was facing in that one not Lex Luthor episode, but the one that teased Lex.
The guy who was like evolving his body.
Exactly. Yeah. So that seems very similar. We know that Amanda Waller is going to be another very prominent figure. She was working alongside the general who was the main antagonist, but realized that was because of like his family or his daughter. I kind of forget what happened there.
And then that was revealed to be Lois's dad.
Yes, that was Lois's dad. Thank you. Totally forgot about that. Yeah. So the general kind of like who was such a hard ass, he kind of changed his tune by the end. The general's still alive, right? He didn't die or anything.
Yeah, he's alive.
So that's gonna be a very funny, conflict / something to work around for Clark. But then now that he's kind of like backed out of the Superman hatred, I think he has. Again, I have to watch that finale again. I don't think he hates Superman anymore. Something happened.
Maybe Lois got through to him.
Maybe Lois got through to him. Yeah. But either way, we have like a very big like Kryptonian antagonist coming in, and Amanda Waller is still very much against him because she was the one who was like helping out antagonists and giving them weapons throughout season 1.
Right.
So you have more robot figures. Kara coming in, amazing. I cannot wait to see what they do with her. I'm super excited.
I'm super intrigued because like I remember there was, I think Clark overcame it, but like there was a disconnect thinking, where he came from. The Kryptonians were not great people, but then he's starting to like see he's starting to piece together like, oh no, I think I'm misinterpreting, and also he doesn't speak the Kryptonian language, so I wonder if Kara here will be speaking Kryptonian language, and they'll have to learn to translate and work a language with Clark. I don't know, or she already speaks.
He doesn't have to pull Nathan Drake trying to translate this shit. Pull out a journal.
Wrong direction.
But yeah, I didn't even think about that. Yeah, the Kryptonians are. So, are you saying the Kryptonians were like bad people, or Clark thought they were bad people?
Clark thought they were because he didn't understand language, and he saw like these images of like robots attacking. But then it became a lot clearer that they. I believe the setup was they were on the defense against Brainiac because they teased both Brainiac and Zod at the end of the season.
Yeah. Yeah, I have to rewatch that season finale, I guess. So yeah, his dealing with the legacy of the Kryptonians is going to be very interesting. And yeah, is she going to be a person who's already been on Earth before him? Or is she just a very new, like, oh, she just got here, like fish out of water scenario, which is, fine. But I also would like it if like the first episode of season 2 starts and we just see Kara going through like normal life. And then she gets brought into the chaos as Supergirl. So man, they can go both ways with that. I'm very curious to see how they bring her in. We're definitely going to get a Supergirl versus Superman fight at first because she seems very, angry. But it could be lashing out against anybody here. Who knows?
Sure.
So yeah, I guess that's him looking at Kara as a baby. But maybe this could be like she has been here all along, and this is just a recording or something.
Right.
This is more robots. Is that the Wade Wilson guy?
Slade,
yeah.
Deathstroke.
Yeah. And then Lex.
I knew that that was Lex, but did they call him Lex in the last season?
I don't know. They called him something. Yeah, they called him. I don't think it was straight up Lex.
I think it was like Alex.
Yeah. We'll have to wait and see.
And he was just like, I don't think Superman's so great. Like it's like, oh, it must be Lex.
But I want to like go into like why he was so anti-Superman. Because we know the guy who kept evolving himself was, but then how does that translate to him? Like, I guess he was working for the guy, but like, man, I want deeper. I want if they're bringing in Lex full front, I want to see more interesting complications between Lex and Clark. See how that works. And like I mentioned for the Superman movie with James Gunn, hopefully we get some Clark and Lex stuff alongside Lex and Superman stuff, if you know what I mean. It's like I want to see how Lex navigates Clark and Clark navigates Lex outside of the theatrics of superheroism. So that should be very fun. So yeah, I'm very excited. It comes out May 25th, and I don't think we did episode reviews every week for that show because it didn't kind of necessitate that, like the Bad Batch. But we'll be talking about it from time to time, and if anything big happens, we'll mention it on this podcast as always. Let's keep the hits going here. Mike Flanagan, the GOAT. He's doing work. He's just living life. No. So a couple of things. Right now, Mike Flanagan, who if people don't remember who Mike Flanagan is, like who is this person that Evan's talking about here? Great modern horror director of our generation. He has done great films like Oculus. Love Oculus. He did a great film in not Haunting Hill House, the fucking Dr. Sleep. Dr. Sleep, which is just fantastic.
Hush was also really cool.
Hush is really good. I saw that on Netflix. I had no idea that was Mike Flanagan. That was before my Flanagan hype train.
Right. Which I don't know, but I think that was exclusively a Netflix film, and they took it off, so there's nowhere to watch it.
No way!
That happened a while ago. Yeah, I don't know if it's been reinstated or when it'll come back, but that was Netflix exclusive, and you can't watch it.
Yeah.
Which sucks because I really enjoy Hush.
Where the fuck? Distributed by Netflix. No way, Nathan!
Say it ain't so.
Wow! With Kate Siegel?
Yeah, like one of his go-tos for the series, right?
Is it on? I can't even find a YouTube link.
I don't think it was made for purchase.
Hush 2016. No way. Oh, that's such a bummer. Holy shit. Dang,
Pirate's
Chris
Life
Tucker
for
made a
me.
review 8 years ago for that movie. Damn, you just broke my heart with that news. Because that's always a fun horror movie that I would like to recommend people during that when it was on Netflix. I'm like, if you're looking for some fun horror Saturday night, watch Hush. It's very simple, clean, fun horror thriller. But yeah, so he did Hush, Oculus, yeah, stuff like that. But TV wise, he's become a generational talent with the likes of Haunting of Hill House, which is not only probably my favorite horror show of all time, because there's not a lot, but you know, Haunting of Hill House is perfection. And that's as a non-horror, like when I used to be like super scared to watch that kind of stuff, I was so against Haunting of Hill House. I heard so much good shit about it. And I was like, I don't know if I could do this. I don't know if I could do this. But one night I just turned off all the lights, watched the first episode, and I was hooked. And I watched every episode subsequently at night.
I turned off all the lights because if I can't handle it, I'm going to give myself a heart attack and die rather than have to live through these horrors.
Yeah, pretty much. Nathan understands me so well. Symbiotic relationship here.
I haven't seen any of those shows, and I know I would love them. I need to get into them.
You would love it. It's so good. Haunting Hill House, so good. Episode 8 or something like that? It's one of the best jump scares of all time. It's just, I remember I screamed like a guttural scream, and Jalen came rushing into the room thinking I was in danger. I'm like, no, I just saw one of the craziest things of all time. Anyways,
was anything like Exodus 3?
Honestly, yeah. Actually, oh man, that one's great. Oh, it's delicious jump scare. I eat jump scares up for breakfast. I love a good jump scare. It's hard to get one out of me too because I'm usually not fazed by a lot of what I see on TV. Head cut off, whatever. But you know, Extras 3 coming at the camera, I'm a dead man walking. Man, that was great. Luckily, that's not cut on camera or anything, so people can't find that.
Yeah, it's definitely not a bright red thumbnail on one of my recently uploads.
Nah, not at all.
Definitely not Evan going.
Oh no. When was that movie? When did we do that? Like August of last year, October? Was that during the Halloween season?
When did the recent Exorcist come out?
Good point.
Was it
October, September?
September, October-ish, yeah.
Yeah. I remember being so against those movies and be like, no, I don't know. We'll see how it goes. Because I never saw the first Exorcist, and then I loved it. And then you watched Exorcist 2 and Exorcist 3. And I think we were just going to stop at Exorcist 1, but you were like, you got to watch 2 and 3.
I was like, you don't even need to. And that was true.
Yeah.
You just check out 3. I was on Exorcist kick. There was an Exorcist TV show that was on sale, and I fucking bought it. 2 seasons. Fox canceled it after 2 seasons. Because they're Fox.
Good old Fox in the early days, because canceling shit. That brings us to the topic of tonight, which is Mike Flanagan, Haunting of Hill House, Bly Manor, Midnight Mass, the Edgar Allan Poe show. I forget what it was called. He is doing an Exorcist movie, the sequel to the Exorcist movie that happened just last year.
Yeah. So
extremely fascinating.
We got Exorcist Believer, and it was set to be the start of a trilogy, which would lead into Exorcist Deceiver and then Exorcist Retriever.
Are you serious? Oh, I didn't know this. I didn't know the titles.
Yeah. So that was set to be a thing. Well, I don't know if Retriever was confirmed, but I think it is. Of course, anything can change now, but if they're doing for a full-blown sequel, that would be interesting to see how they pivot, because as the news is, David Gordon Green is out and Mike is in, which, like, we had fun with Halloween. I still stand that I still stand that 2018 Halloween of these horror properties that he's done for Universal is the best he's done, and I genuinely find it to be a good movie. 2 messy as hell. 3 has some interesting things, but odd. And then Believer I enjoyed more than most, I think, but also I can recognize quite a bit of flaws there.
quite a bit for sure. And yeah, it's like the question was, how long? Well, am I good here? Yeah. Um, how long is David Gordon Green going to get away with this? With mediocrity? It was mediocrity. And because I never loved the first Halloween 2018 one. In retrospect, I guess it's the best in terms of its simplicity. It's the best of the trilogy. Which kind of reminds me of like the Jurassic World movies where I'm like, I don't love the other two. Is it better than 2015 though, which is also not very good? But you like, yeah, I know you like your fucking horror second one, whatever it's called, Dominion. No.
Jurassic World.
Yeah, what's the
Fallen
second one
Kingdom?
called? Fallen Kingdom. Yeah.
Yeah, I do.
Which
Um,
I don't love, but yeah. Anyways, it kind of reminded me of this one. I'm like, I guess in retrospect, 2018 is the best one, even though I think the ending just falls apart with the whole scientist and the betrayal and the it's dumb.
there's an interesting thing with both Halloween and Exorcist Believer, which is they want to make like full-blown trilogies out of these. They already did for one, but looking at both of these films, you really can just like stop after that first one, in both retrospects, because like it's pretty like cut and dry on Believer. There's no like tee up of like, but the evil still lurks. Like there's none of that.
Yes, I was going to bring that up, which is great news for Flanagan, right? Like, if I'm Flanagan, I'm coming in, I don't have to continue using the same characters, even though if you were, that's fine by me because the father, Leslie Odom Jr., right? Great actor, fantastic actor. Him working with Flanagan on another horror project, please, I would love that.
What do you do with him?
No, I mean, I'm just saying Leslie's doing another horror following Exorcist.
Oh, yes.
I phrased that badly, but yeah, that'd be great because I think Flanagan, can get a lot out of his actors, and that'd be very exciting to see that kind of partnership. But yeah, it kind of just does end. Spoilers for Exorcist Believer. It's not a great movie. I remember liking the first bit where they're talking about like the whole origin of this thing that's happening in like the natural disaster, the earthquake in Mexico or wherever they were. It was like some South American country. And then it kind of gets like this prisoners vibe where the little missing children, not a detective angle, but just like where do our daughters go? That kind of drama, the kind of like mystery of it all. But then like the movie keeps on building in such a messy way by including characters from the other movies. And then the ending is just so laughably bad in terms of like everybody coming to the same house and trying to solve this whole exorcism stuff. It just falls completely flat by just trying to copy what the first one did in the very first Exorcist, and in not a great way. The priest wasn't even that interesting. He came in there at the last minute or something. It was just bad. It was just bad. But if Flanagan, who I know is a master of horror, lover of all things horror, if he can capture the magic, and I said this during Exorcist Believer, or before Exorcist Believer came out, maybe after, whatever, capture the magic of Exorcist 3, which I think is the best Exorcist movie. Give us a great detective storyline alongside a religious exorcism storyline, and magic can happen. It's a very simple premise. And I always talk about this in terms of like going onto a franchise and looking at the core rubric of what makes a successful movie within this franchise. And the first one didn't have that detective angle, but it had an interesting character in terms of like the daughter and the mother. That relationship was key to the movie, of course. And then Damien, we got a lot of time setting up Damien, just going to care for his mother, him talking to his other priests, him just jogging around at the university. Like, give Damien, the priest, time to become an actualized character so you care about him during the ending. You don't just force a priest into your movie randomly. So I think, I think Mike is just really good at writing those kinds of characters, ones that can let us breathe and feel more actualized leading up to like the horror of the ending. And I kind of think back to Dr. Sleep, where we got a lot from, Ewan's character. I forget the name now. Ewan's character, like his depression, his, going through the motions of like his alcoholism and all kind of like his journey leading into the finale of the movie was just a very well actualized journey that elevated his character a ton. So I have a lot of faith in Mike writing good characters, good religious storyline, and keep everything super captivating.
Yeah, I think that's one of like the best cases you can make of like if they are going to like continue any sort of connectivity to the original. Doctor Sleep is such a great example because there's so much originality built onto it that you don't really like hook back into the original Shining stuff until like the last act.
Exactly. It serves as a great example of like you don't have to watch The Shining to appreciate Doctor Sleep. Even though I do recommend people, of course, watch The Shining, but I might like Doctor Sleep a bit more than The Shining. It just depends on the day. Sure. But yeah, I think speaking of Doctor Sleep, it's just a miracle in our 2024 film landscape that Doctor Sleep bombs at the theaters.
Oh yeah, I was there.
I was there too. I love the movie, but sometimes people get thrown in director's jail, and Flanagan went on to do a lot more horror TV shows like Midnight Mass, and again the Edgar Allan Poe one that came out last year. I forget what's that fucking called.
I didn't know he was attached to that.
Yeah, of course. What do you mean? That was his last big Netflix show. Because remember, right now his Netflix deal is over. And let's see, what was it called? Fall of the House of Usher. The Fall of the House of Usher.
Oh, that's right. I was thinking of a different thing. I was thinking of that. I think that Christian Bale one that came out.
Oh, yeah, that was a movie. It was a solid movie. The first movie I saw of 2023.
That's right. I remember. Yeah, Fall of the House of Usher. I remember seeing a poster that said like "Close to Raven" or something. And I was like, "What?
Yeah,
I gotta get this."
So it's another very good Flanagan show. So yeah, it's so hard to rank his shows because they're all so excellent. But yeah, I think that was his last Netflix one. I think now he has like an Amazon deal, so I think he might be doing shows for Amazon coming up soon. But keeping up with Mike Flanagan, he does have the movie The Life of Chuck coming out. Is an upcoming science fiction drama, no horror, written and directed by Flanagan, and it's an adaptation of the Stephen King novella, which was published in the 2020 collection called If It Bleeds. And I know
properties.
What?
He's good with Stephen King properties.
He sure is. And I know he's been talking a lot about this because it's a very big departure, obviously, from his horror. This is his first time, delving into just a drama. Nothing horror about it, just a big drama. And it stars Tom Hiddleston, Karen Gillan, Kate Siegel, of course, his wife, beautiful, Mark Hamill, Jacob Tremblay from Dr. Sleep, Matthew Lillard, David Dastmalchian, Samantha Sloyan from Midnight Mass, she was great, Chiwetel Ejiofor, Raul Coley, of course, from other Flanagan properties. So he has a who's who of just fantastic actors, people who were just, yeah.
Somebody clip my reaction to that cast list. First time hearing it. Holy shit.
It's a fantastic and large cast list, of course. But it's a big drama. So, people are going to be, of course, going in and out of the film, of course. I think it's called The Life of Chuck, like the life of this character. So, but yeah, it's just a very big cast list. People we worked with on a lot of his Flanagan shows on Netflix. And, of course, new people like Tom Hiddleston. So it's great seeing Tom Hiddleston alone, just doing another drama again. He's been doing a lot of Broadway stuff recently, Loki, and now he's going back to do drama. I think the last big Tom Hiddleston-led feature was like the Del Toro one.
Crimson Peak.
I forget the name of it. Yes, Crimson Peak. Was that Peak? Did you see it?
I didn't see it, but I think I'd like it. I remember people being let down that like it was like the trailer, the studio cut the trailer like an intense horror, but it was more of like a romance drama.
Yeah,
which happened to Shyamalan with The Village.
Yeah. So yeah, that's Mike Flanagan. So he's doing Life of Chuck, and I think his next project will be Exorcist. We'll have to wait and see. Let's see if the article even says what his next project is. Let's see. Yeah. Originally set to hit theaters on April 18th, 2025, Exorcist Deceiver was pushed when Green bowed out. And now April 18th is home to Lionsgate's Michael Jackson biopic, which is going to make $1 billion. So, yeah. And then he says, yeah, coming off of the Stephen King adaptation, Life of Chuck, Flanagan will then move on to this movie. And because it's a big franchise, because it was originally set for next April, I assume they want to hit that maybe end of 2025, maybe early 2026 release for Exorcist to see. Because this is happening. Oh, and Mike Flanagan's doing a Dark Tower pilot. Or Dark Tower series in general.
That's cool.
I know he's doing the pilot. Let me click on this article because I just totally forgot about that. It's on Deadline as well. Internet hates when I use other tabs right now. But yeah, Dark Tower pilot is one of my favorite things I've ever gotten to work on. Director Mike Flanagan says here. So yeah, he thinks he can bring a compelling version to the Dark Tower series. And yeah, I don't know if he's doing the whole series. So let's see here. He did the pilot. It looks like he is. Yeah, it says it's a 5-season TV series followed by 2 standalone feature films. I don't know. I don't know if any of that's confirmed though. But yeah, Dark Tower series is coming up, directed by Mike Flanagan. So that's going to be cool to get another second shot at that Stephen King adaptation after the movie, which I never saw. So yeah. Also, before we move on, Mike Flanagan was announced to be executive producer on Chris Stuckman's horror movie coming out this year. You heard about that, right?
Yes, Shelby Oaks. That's awesome, man. That is so. I'm so happy for that man.
Yeah, me too. I was watching his video about like finally being able to confirm that, and it says, yeah, 8 years ago when he was talking about like movies like Hush and other Flanagan projects, Flanagan followed Chris on Twitter because of his review. And then whenever Chris had been writing Shelby Elks' script years ago, he would always ask Flanagan for some tips. And over time, it turned into a Zoom call. And they talked about the script and the movie, some editing changes. And then eventually, Flanagan ended up, just as a relationship, becoming executive producer. Flanagan's company ended up helping produce Shelby Oaks. And along the way, Chris said, like, Flanagan made a lot of interesting changes that he thought he would never make to the movie in terms of like cutting certain scenes that Chris thought he would never ever cut from the movie, but Flanagan gave him some good ideas that he just didn't think of. That collaboration process for when you're making a movie. Wow. So Flanagan has been a decently good producer for Chris Stuckman there, and he said he's proud for Chris and then all that kind of stuff. And Shelby Oaks, which should be coming out later this year, so that's very exciting. I cannot wait to see that movie. Oh
yeah, man. So
yeah, I'm very happy for Chris too. Are you part of the support? Did you put some money in there for Shelby Oaks?
I didn't because I'm trying to put money into my own thing. But,
Good point.
I have all the support for Chris. There's so many people I would love to back, but like that stacks up.
Yeah. Are you saying Mike Flanagan can't back Time Blazer? Is that what's happening?
I'm not saying that at all. I'm saying if he wants to back it, by all means, and give me some horror tips for my very horror influential scenes, by all means, I am available.
So yeah, that's all things Flanagan. So moving on to some other movie news. Just recently, George Miller talked about doing another Mad Max movie set 1 year before the 2015 film Mad Max. So another prequel movie.
Do you think this will be an instance of it like tying like straight into it? Do you think like Tom Hardy would star as Max?
Oh, good point. Kind of like a Rogue. This seems like a Rogue One situation.
Because Because we
In
immediately
terms-
start Mad Max Fury Road with Max captured, don't we?
Yes, I believe so. So, let me look up the article here, see if there's any bigger quotes. Um, can't seem to find anything, but somewhere in the article he talks about how there's this huge article cover story with Furiosa, and within it, yeah, he kind of casually says he has a script available for this new prequel project. He basically just not done with the Mad Max franchise. And I didn't want to get too much into the article because they go deep into crafting the characters for Furiosa, which I'm kind of like, I don't want to read anything. I want to go in blind.
Right.
But yeah, he says he wrote the story and hopes it gets turned into a screenplay for a film. So it's very, very early in the works. Again, set 1 year before Mad Max Fury Road. And yeah, I think he's captured in the beginning of the movie. I would love for it to include Tom Hardy. And it can kind of be like a movie version of what we get with Andor in terms of like crafting this character of maybe becoming who we see in Mad Max. I don't know if that's super interesting because Mad Max, he's kind of like an enigma in the Mad Max movie. It's basically Charlize Theron's movie, and Mad Max kind of like along for the ride. Still a very compelling character given his lack of dialogue, but it just works for some reason. It just works given the action of it all. So I don't know how a solo feature will work, but I'll be excited to see it as well.
Absolutely.
And I might be more interested in this prequel more than a sequel. We know Tom Hardy and Charlize got into it during, but that was like 10 years ago. Maybe they're fine now.
Sure.
They're adults. But yeah, I think a prequel makes more sense because the ending of Mad Max 2015 just seems like a perfect ending for both people involved. She found her promised land. She killed the bad guy. I forget his name now.
Right.
And yeah,
It's gonna
so
be in Furiosa.
yeah, he's gonna be in Furiosa, an early version. So
It's just like they've taken their own like slice of the universe and they're just like, all right, our thing.
yeah, it's very interesting, and I can't imagine. George Miller's getting very up there in age. Imagine just another director entering the picture and doing a Mad Max feature. I just can't imagine that anymore. This feels like such a
Mike Flanagan.
Mike Flanagan Mad Max. Can Flanagan do action like that? Honestly, Christopher McQuarrie doing Mad Max would be very fun too.
Oh yeah.
The Mission Impossible guy. So yeah, that's just a small story, nothing much there. But yeah, let's go into this one took me by surprise. It was Saturday. I was at the theater and I got out and I saw this Maze Runner news. I couldn't believe my eyes.
Maze Runner 4, baby.
It's so interesting because this was one of the first YA books I ever dived into growing up. I read Hunger Games first. I think that was like, everybody's entry into YA material, Hunger Games. And I loved Hunger Games, but then I read the Divergent series and I become obsessed with Divergent. People can remember Divergent 2014, the movie with, forgetting the actor, but with Theo James as or as like Tobias. What was his name? Theo James. I forget his name now. But Theo James is just a very prominent figure in the movies, and I liked the movies for Divergent, but they weren't really that great. But then another book series after I read the Divergent series, which Divergent had the first two were good books, third book is not great. Maze Runner, though, was my third one. I went from Hunger Games, Divergent to Maze Runner, and Maze Runner blew me away. I loved everything Maze Runner. The first book was great. Scorch Trials, amazing. Death Cure, great third book. There's a prequel also. I forget what the source code or something. I don't know. I'm butchering it, but there was a prequel. Yeah, it's not source code.
You telling me Jake Gyllenhaal
prequel
becomes Dylan O'Brien?
Yes, exactly. The Kill Order. Where did I get source code from?
These are some wild ass names, by the way. For all
I know, right?
It's so like somebody put random names on all the sides of dice, and they just rolled, and they're like, "All right, death cure."
Scorched Trials, Kill Order. Yeah, it's really weird. It's intense for a YA series.
God Emperor.
God Emperor Maze. But I love these books so much.
Dune
And
Scorched Trials is a good title.
what?
Dune Scorched Trials would be a
Dune
good title.
Scorched Trials. That'd be badass actually. But yeah, I love the book so much. Basically one of my early favorite YA series, and the movies were really good as well. It was my 2014 my first introduction to Wes Ball as a director. It's funny because he's coming out with a new movie, Kingdom of the Planet of the Apes, and
Full circle.
I always talk about fully backing Kingdom of the Apes from the beginning. When people were kind of nervous, they're like, "Can it top Matt Reeves' Apes movies?" But I'm like, guys, Wes Ball, I know he did a YA movie. People were kind of tired of that, but Maze Runner, the first one, was really good. So I had a lot of faith in Wes Ball as a creative based on his work doing Maze Runner. Cut to today, the week of Kingdom of the Apes coming out, and they're announcing a Maze Runner movie reboot. And this is shocking to me because, the movie trilogy recently concluded. The Maze Runner came out in 2014. Scorched Trials came out, I think, 2016. And then Death Cure was like 2017, 2018. It was like every other year, maybe every year. I forget now. But it was like from 2014 to 2018. So this is a very recent action YA franchise. And they are 20th Century Studios is developing a new installment in this franchise. So yeah, they said like in the article here, it ran from 2014 to 2018. And guess who they're getting to work on this movie, Nathan? You wouldn't be able to guess the name per se.
Holy shit! It's Kevin Smith. That's amazing.
But it honestly, where's Kevin Smith been in terms of directing? I mean, that wouldn't be that bad actually.
He's making this stuff. He's pretty like devoted fan base funded. He's about to make a movie right now. That's similar to his original film Clerks, but instead of in a convenience store, it's in the movie theater.
Oh, cool! I didn't know about that. But yeah, they're having the guy that made what is it here? Johnny Depp's Transcendence to pen the script for this new movie, which is just shocking to me.
I saw that in theaters.
Yeah, right. No way, you did? You saw Transcendence? I have somebody who here has saw Transcendence.
I saw Transcendence in IMAX. It was pretty.
You're joking.
No, I'm not. I went with my mom because we're big Johnny Depp fans. Family friend Johnny Depp, and and we went and I like the cast too. Rebecca Hall and Paul Bettany and Morgan Freeman, Kmart, I think as well. And I was like, hey, our whole artificial intelligence thing before its modern uses right now was always still a cool concept in movies. So we're like, seeing this could be interesting, although it's a little drab by the end of things. I would like to revisit it with like a more mature perspective because I was a bit younger when I saw it. It was 10 years ago. So
you were 6, right?
Yeah. I was 15. So I just like had more like mental thoughts of like the complexity of like human life transitioning to sentience and all that.
Mm-hmm.
I'm sure it is interesting ideas, but execution,
left a lot to be desired. Yeah. I just remember being critically and financially like bombing and getting panned across the board as like an awful movie. Even the trailers looked very, very bad and generic to say the least. Mm-hmm. But yeah, they said this guy is just best known for writing the sci-fi movie Transcendence. Like that was a good thing. I'm like, this is crazy to me. Wes Ball is coming back to produce, but we have no director yet. And the interesting part is that like I don't see where James Dashner, the writer of the best-selling books here, is associated with this movie. Are they not bringing in the author for this movie? That seems shocking. That's
What
gonna be
is
a good
this?
sign.
Percy Jackson, the Olympians, the lightning thief?
I'm getting bad vibes, man. But the interesting part here. So the title of the tweet said reboot, but then I read the article and this is where things get interesting. According to sources, and this is THR. According to sources, the reboot is not a redo of the story, nor is it a direct sequel to the original Maze Runner trilogy of books. Now, again, I told you there's 3 books: Maze Runner, Scorched Trials, and Death Cure. This is not a sequel to the end of Death Cure, where they kind of, solve everything, basically. But, and of course, that starred Dylan O'Brien and Kaya Scodelario. The hope, though, is to make a sort of continuation of that story, yet also return to the elements that made the first movie connect with its audience. And then the article goes on to talk about the box office success of the movies. They say it is a similar strategy to the 20th Century Studios' upcoming Kingdom of the Planet of the Apes, which just so happens to have West Ball attached. Kingdom is a reboot of the Apes franchise, but it's not a remake It's not a remake of the 2010s movies of Matt Reeves. It serves as a connective tissue. And it connects to the story set 100 years ago in Matt Reeves' movies. As a writer, besides Transcendence, Paglin also worked on Alien Covenant.
Hey.
And that's the end of the article there. So Alien Covenant and Transcendence, not the best looks there, but Alien Covenant has some good writing aspects to it in terms of, again, Fassbender's character. But this is so interesting to me, not being a reboot, so we're not going over the same books again. But how can you? It's just such a weird. It sounds like a Hollywood producer mindset of like, how did the first one do so good? Let's do that, but also continue the story. Like, are you building another maze? We solved everything, so like it's just 100 years later. Like, is like Thomas is the main character who helps save the day, everything like that. He helped build the maze. Spoiler alert. But it's like how he built the maze, wiped his own memory, and then had to get the.
I didn't watch these movies.
It's a really good franchise. Some great twists and turns. Even though I spoiled that big one, but
I remember. I'm not gonna say it, but I remember specifically like a character dies in I think the first movie, and then my dad kept on watching them, and then I heard from another room like the distinct voice of that actor, and I was like, oh, I guess he's back.
Homeboy from Guardians 3, Don't Be Rash.
Yeah.
And the bear. He's not back, by the way. Maybe
you could have left me in any sort of suspense of just like he thinks. Does he know? Now I do. I've never experienced this trilogy.
We'll watch it. I'll put it on the list, damn it.
What could have been?
We haven't watched a lot of YA movies. We haven't even watched the Hunger Games movies on.
Yes, The Giver. You ever see The Giver?
We're not watching The Giver. I read the book in 7th grade at high school. And not great, Bob. I don't know why they had us read that dark, depressing ass book. That wasn't dark and depressing. It was just kind of a weird 7th grade exciting book to read. I'm like, no, everything's in black and white. And
can I check out Holes again?
Yeah, right. My favorite 7th grade reading book actually was like this mythology book where we read like anthology tales about different Greek gods and myths. That was fun.
My ass going to the library checking out the fucking comic collection of Garfield strips.
Oh God!
Long rectangle book.
Yikes!
That was elementary. Let's be clear.
So yeah, I'm very, as a huge fan of the Maze Runner books, I feel very protective of this franchise, and this one just seemed very off to me. But yeah, you never read the books or watched the movies?
No.
So,
read me.
Whenever my students are like, Mr. Harris, we're going to the library after school. I'm like, oh, you guys gonna read something? They're like, nah, we're just gonna go on the computers. I'm like,
I do very much want to go to a library and just like chill and work. Like that sounds kind of nice to just like bring a laptop and just like write or something.
I used to do that all the time as a kid. Like I used to write stuff, back when I had time to write.
That was my early days of Time Blazer. Back in high school, I would not eat lunch. I would just go into the library, sit at a table, blast my earbuds, and I'm handwriting in a notebook the scripts.
Yeah, I mean, it started in second grade when my teachers like really emphasized us to just do free writing activities.
Mhm.
Like they'll give us some photos and just like create a story out of this, a photo of a wolf on a cliff, for example. And I would just go to free write. And I made a lot of like short stories. Like I made a short story called Time Blazer. I made the Blaze Trials. It was very fun. Yeah.
I think, ladies and gentlemen, I think I need to copyright infringe some things. It'll be
What?
I gotta issue some DMCA's real quick. I mean, we like to buy the rights.
Sure thing.
Let's use producer.
Can Mike Flanagan direct?
Yes.
But so yeah, this one took me by storm. I don't know if it's any close to happening. It was so interesting again because Westfall's next big thing is coming out this weekend with Apes. He's doing Zelda. So I don't know how big his producer role is going to be for this next movie, but I'm not a fan of the writer. I'm not a fan of the tagline of, continuing the story, which had kind of like a hopeful, like the kid survived, we made it kind of thing. But then continuing that story, and then trying to connect it with the first movie, I'm like, it just seems like they want to copy what the first movie did by creating a big, like the high concept of like kids stuck in a maze that's trying to kill them. It's a very interesting, and I can see studios wanting to copy that and bring the YA element back to theaters.
Was this some kind of tournament of champions?
Exactly. And yeah, the first one at least was a big box office success because it was a low budget, but it made like $350 million off of a $35 million budget.
Damn.
So it really made up a lot of its money there, and that's why they did the other sequels. So yeah, we'll have to wait and see. I'm very skeptical of this though. But moving on I want to talk about the movies first, so we can skip the Chris Hemsworth stuff. Let's talk about the Kingdom Hearts movie because I want to talk about this real quick. Just real quick.
All right. It's a good idea, right?
No. Well, first of all, years ago, 2020, in 2020, there were a lot of, Disney insiders and movie people coming out, Disney entertainment people coming out saying a Kingdom Hearts TV series is in the works for Disney Plus. And I'm like, thumbs up. That could be cool. It was 2020. It was the first year post the second year, basically, of Disney Plus getting its foot off the ground. So the idea of a Kingdom Hearts TV series made a lot of sense. They need a lot of IP. They need a lot of material for their early days of Disney Plus. I think that would work. And Disney has been such a big focus on Kingdom Hearts. Kingdom Hearts 3 came out in 2019. The DLC Remind came out in 2020. So Kingdom Hearts continues to be a very big gaming franchise for Disney. They love Kingdom Hearts, of course. Sora was just added to Smash Bros. Years ago as well. So they love Sora. They love Kingdom Hearts. A Disney Plus TV series would make a lot of sense. But then we heard crickets about it. It disappeared, basically. Was it true? Was it not true? It came from a lot of reputable.
In the wind.
Yeah, exactly. And it came from a lot of reputable people. But we didn't hear much from it. Cut to this year, a couple weeks ago, we heard about from I think Daniel RPK was the first one to bring up that Kingdom Hearts 4 is set to release late 2025, which makes a lot of sense. Daniel RPK isn't the biggest gaming scooper. People usually hear his stuff for like Marvel and DC and comic book stuff.
Yeah.
But he mentioned Kingdom Hearts, and people are like, okay, the game coming out next year makes a lot of sense. Final Fantasy VII, which is another Square Enix property, just had its big release this February. So it's like, okay, Square Enix focusing on Kingdom Hearts next year makes a lot of sense. But then he added in, also, the Disney Plus series is still in the works. I'm like, okay, interesting. I'm fine with that, but we haven't heard much about that. But awesome. I like that. And then Disney Insider said just last week, oh, it's not a series anymore, but it's a movie. And that's what people are like, okay, this is interesting. But the big part is, and people didn't really read the article, they heard like the headline, Kingdom Hearts movie coming out. The article went on to say, I heard rumblings of Disney wanting to do a movie. And a lot of the verbiage there just made it feel like it might not be happening, or if it is, it's still in the very, very early stages of it happening, a Kingdom Hearts movie.
Yeah.
I still think a TV series makes more sense because the games are very extensive. They're very long. And a movie just is way too much, even for the first game alone. In terms of like, you only be having to short yourself to like maybe 1 or 2 Disney worlds, but then like the Heartless, the enemies, all that kind of stuff. It's very difficult to grasp in 2 hours. Kingdom Hearts is known for having a very complex plot. I don't think it is, but it's known for that. And trying to condense it into 2 hours is definitely going to make it very difficult to grasp for regular audiences.
Yeah.
So yeah, and that cuts to today where it's just like, is a movie happening? Is it still a series? There's another one where Daniel RPK then followed up Disney Insider by saying, oh, it's a CGI live action hybrid is the latest I've been hearing about this, which just gave people like me the hives, because a CGI live action hybrid is not the case I want for a Kingdom Hearts series, which does have a human character going to these Disney worlds, but you can all do that in all animation, which was the case for the Disney series. They kept saying the Disney series would be an animated CGI production. It made a lot of sense. Yeah. But live action CGI, it makes everything really weird. I don't want a Who Framed Roger Rabbit / Sonic style movie for this franchise. It's too out there in Disney, and it's like they go to Pirates of the Caribbean and Kingdom Hearts 2, and that could be live action or whatever. It could be animation meets live action, or it could all just be animated. Do an animated Pirates franchise or world.
Even in the sense when they go to like a 2D properties world, they made 3D versions of those characters, right?
Exactly. Yep. Yeah. Like Tron and stuff like that.
So yeah. I mean,
would you like this?
I don't think I would hate it. Obviously, the execution is key. Recently, I checked out the Kingdom Hearts 4 trailer that I guess is quite old at this point.
2022, I think. Yeah.
And I was like looking, I was like, damn, Sora looks realer than ever.
Yeah, they really that was Unreal Engine 4, and it looked really good.
I'm like, he's got the anime face, but like, goddamn, if he doesn't have like pores on his skin.
Yeah, it looked really good. And just to think of the timeline of it all, Kingdom Hearts 4 comes out in 2019. Remind the DLC to Kingdom Hearts 4, which continues the story a little bit, came out in 2020. Melody and Memory also came out in 2020, I think. And then 2021 was like a gap year. And then 2022, April, we get that trailer. We're like, wow, is Kingdom Hearts 4 on the horizon? And then it'd be our crickets for 2 years now. So hopefully we get some news this year. I'm pretty sure we're going to get some at the Summer Game Fest. For Kingdom Hearts 4. But yeah.
But I mean, yeah, and from that point of view of like how they're looking to have the newer games look, I can definitely see, an animated doll and Goofy run around side by side with us. I don't, it's always like a thing where like this is where we're definitely on like differing sides. It's like I'm never like necessarily mad at the idea of a live action anime adaptation. I just know like there is a necessity on like the time frame you need to tell the full stories of these long running shows. Because I mean, just recently One Piece has proven itself amongst fans to be a successful live action interpretation.
Good point. Yeah.
So it's possible, and I'll see like animation, and obviously animation can get quite fantastical, but then I'll see like some of the most brutal anime fights that are like very grounded in its combat, that like the impact comes from the realness of the depiction and motions, and I'm like, okay, so could be done. But I also see like the appeal of like sticking within the animation aspect, especially with how fantastical expressions can be.
That's what it is. And I think One Piece works. And if One Piece can work in live action, why can't Kingdom Hearts? But for me, Kingdom Hearts just seems like it's a video game franchise, first and foremost. And I just can't see that working in live action with the idea of a keyblade in live action, people sword fighting with the keyblades. It seems very goofy to do in live action, where I think it'll be work perfectly in animation because there's a lot of high octane fights. And out there worlds and stuff like that, I think just works perfectly. Just the emphasis of Kingdom Hearts, of the fantastical nature of it, the light, the dark, the corniness of it all too, just works best in animation. Like it just feels like a classic Disney style element there. And I know Disney has been diving into a lot of live action stuff, obviously with Lion King, Aladdin, stuff like that. But I think Kingdom Hearts, first and foremost, needs to be an animated adventure. And I think with their ups and downs of Pixar and Disney animation, doing a Kingdom Hearts movie makes a lot of sense, but also kind of doesn't too. Because like I feel like people who are fans of the video game would love a Kingdom Hearts movie or TV show. They'll eat up anything. But if you're not a fan, I don't know if you're going to gravitate towards it. It's a very difficult thing to get people attached to if you're not already a fan. That's kind of like the give and take of video game adaptations in general. How do you grab the people who aren't playing the game? And I think people who aren't playing the game, it would work best for kids and families in animation, not live action.
Yeah.
And then again, I want this to be a TV series on Disney Plus, not a movie. It's too much.
Absolutely. And it does kind of come to a shock that like at this point when we've just had a very $1 billion successful animated Mario film, why you wouldn't like, oh, no, okay, so yeah, the people who are into these are very willing to just check out the animations and the money's there.
Yeah.
Why aren't we funding this?
So we're doing a movie, keep it animated, but I think an animated TV series works best for it. Disney right now is killing it with X-Men 97, stuff like that. So yeah. So let's end off there, but let's go into some reviews. We have some movies to talk about, and let's start off though with some TV reviews. Speaking of X-Men 97, you caught up finally on X-Men 97. What are your overall thoughts so far as we reach the final 2 episodes? I think the penultimate episode is this week of X-Men 97. So what do you think?
Well, first off, I am not a deep watcher of the original series, so any like back story stuff there is a bit blank for me. However, the show is very good at just existing as its own thing and being very very nuanced with its how you say
approach.
Yeah, with the dynamics of the family. With everything there, it's a wonderful. Like I truly feel the team dynamic. It is very nice to see a compelling Cyclops writing.
It's so refreshing. Oh my god, yes.
Yeah. I'm gonna be so harsh on our journey now, because it's just so nice seeing all these characters, both like characters that haven't really gotten their due diligence, but also ones that we've never seen depicted.
Like Madeline.
Yes, like Madeline. Or even like Morph has been very fun to explore. With his
great character.
With his dark history with Mr. Sinister and whatnot. Also just Magneto's writing is still great as ever.
Holy shit!
It's too good. I'm like,
you're all caught up, right? You're all caught up.
I am.
What he did last week with the whole Magneto was right sequence, where he just goes to the poles and magnetically attaches himself to the poles and just wipes everything out, was incredible. Fucking incredible.
Wild. Absolutely wild. I got my Spider-Man cameo. He's alive. He's well. He's not in the multiverse looking for Mary Jane, so hopefully he no. That's so good. That is some of the best ones. Which a little bit of news there is like somebody asked Christopher Daniel Barnes if he would reprise his role, and he was like, "Absolutely, please."
In a second.
And the original showrunners are also like, yes, call me. So
it's only a matter of fucking time, Nathan.
It is.
I
am here. I am watching as the show is airing. I am helping with the view numbers. Please greenlight Spider-Man 98.
Oh my god, that would be like the most hyped up series of all time. Even more so than X-Men 97, I think.
I think so, man. It's especially with how incomplete it left off.
It's so incomplete. I wonder because like X-Men 97 is so successful, I think, because people can jump into it. It's a fresh start, even though it cuts off where like Professor X kind of dies in the finale of the 90s series. The team is left kind of abandoned there, but it serves as a kind of a good reboot. Whereas like, yeah, now Cyclops is in charge, fresh start, here we go. And everything you need to know about Professor X, you kind of learn about in his recent episode with the Shi'ar Empire. Everything just seems kind of like I can go in without having watched the 90s series. That's why it's so famous right now. As Spider-Man, though, it's like Mary Jane dying is a pivotal part. You're going to be left out of the loop there if they reboot that show. So I wonder how that would work in a fresh start kind of way.
Well, because it is a similar thing with like what happened with Jean here is like, you lost your redhead wife, and now she's back, but that was actually a clone, and the real one is now somewhere else and is coming back into the fold.
Good point. Yeah, so it could start with him just being like in his depression era, just like being heroic, but of course that absence of Mary Jane not being there.
Yeah.
So yeah.
But as for 97, it's been wonderful. I do think the best episode so far has been episode 5. Remember it with spoilers.
This is full spoilers for X-Men 97. Everything up to this point, spoilers.
With Gambit's sacrifice, which sucks because goddamn it, he was my favorite, Evan.
He was so good in this series. In the 90s, but yeah.
I need them to fucking get Gambit rolling when they get to the films. I need that.
We need a fucking good Gambit. You're right.
We do. Which I didn't hate Taylor Kitsch by any means, but he's also not like full blown Louisiana accent.
Right. They weren't trying there.
Right. And if you could get the fucking Gambit Rogue romance going, it's so good.
That was a great romance. I love the complexity they dealt with that whole situation. But there's Gambit and Rogue are such free spirits, but very pained spirits as well. So is Magneto. And that Rogue Magneto backstory is very touching as well, but also very like interesting and complex in terms of like the whole age gap of it all, but also like what Rogue was going through and what Magneto was going through, and then what Gambit, like it was a very delicate love triangle per se. But then like Rogue, Gambit coming to Rogue's aid and then just unleashing on the mutant mold, I think it was called
Master Mold.
Master Mold, yeah. It was just a devastating attack from Gambit, and it was a great heroic effort. But that whole sequence was just dreadful. The score building up, Madeline possibly dying and perishing there, like that was mind blowing for me. I didn't see any of that coming so soon too. Episode 5. We're losing Gambit. Are you serious? It was just so heartbreaking to watch.
Can we Days of Future Past and change the past and save him? Can we fix it?
I hope so.
But also on the flip, Nightcrawler is in the fold again, and he's wonderful. He's been great to see. It's been really interesting seeing Wolverine be pretty much like a supporting role in every episode. He doesn't like he never steals any scene he's in, really. Like he has like some funny moments, but he's never like the main focus, really, unless it's a scene between like him and Jean one-on-one. But he's such a good supporting character, and you don't mind because everybody else is equally compelling.
I agree, and Wolverine got a very fun sequence with Nightcrawler in episode 8 recently, which was just baller. Nightcrawler has such a touching relationship with Rogue, kind of like his adopted sister in a sense, in terms of early found family there from growing up. and he was protecting Rogue. Wolverine's in the situation, just going off on these these Sentinel human hybrids created by Bastion, which is already crazy. We'll get into that in a second.
Mhm.
But when Wolverine touches one of the cyborgs, and then Nightcrawler teleports it, and we see his teleportation through Wolverine's eyes. Awesome! Oh my
phenomenal.
god!
It was so cool.
It was stunning. I was losing my mind. But yeah, Wolverine has been used so well here, and they even we talked about it a little bit during our commentaries, but they teased not teased, but they're touching on Wolverine's still attraction to Jean and Jean's attraction to Logan in a sense, in a very delicate way. Again, they're not forcing it into a love triangle. The boundary is still there because she loves Scott, obviously.
Yeah.
But there's still kind of that attraction there where he's kind of like, I'll do whatever you want me to do, Jean, kind of thing there. And then Jean's kind of getting close to Logan while Scott was getting close to Madeline. It was very messy, but very adult too. I loved it.
It is very complicated and messy, but also it is very refreshing to comparatively to Hugh's performance to see this Wolverine be like all right, no, I know how things go. You go see the Boy Scout and men things. I know my place here, and he just walks away.
While in comparison to the X-Men movies, there's always a sense of longing for Logan. I'm like, there's a boundary there. Just step away for a bit, man. And I think the boundaries and the emotional complexity that they were getting into here is just wonderful. But yeah, Magneto's just been such a breath of fresh air. Magneto's living up to his name is one of my favorite fictional characters, not just villains, just fictional characters ever. The way he's really embarking on his leadership role, honoring his dearly departed Professor X, but also, he's still alive, but still, like coming that leadership role, but also being very much Magneto still. Like, how can a terrorist like Magneto lead the X-Men? How can a terrorist like Magneto possibly join the UN and take care of Genosha and be a force for good for mutants, even though he's always so anti-human as well?
Yeah.
And I love the complexity they're diving into with the human mutant relationships in the world, with especially post episode 5, the way these humans are kind of like compartmentalizing or struggling to deal with what is a mutant disaster. They can't really find a good way they sympathize, but also they're like, we can't do much politically. But other people, like the news reporter lady, didn't turn out to be all good because she was just a pawn of Bastion's. It was just so fascinating. I just love it. And we thought it was Mr. Sinister doing all this, given what he did with Madeline and Nathan, who became Cable. Yeah. But then trying to be Bastion, what I think is a very interesting villain too. I'm kind of unfamiliar with Bastion, but just given what we got from this TV show, I find it extremely fascinating. A character like Bastion, who was a human who had Sentinel DNA inside of him, is so anti-mutant. In a lot of his words, he was spitting evilly, spitting, like not good. I don't support it, obviously, but he was spitting in terms of like the human race can't why should we wait basically for the mutant agenda to take over us when we can just get them now? And it was very warped and disgusting ideology, basically. But he was talking about like the future, how mutants will eventually overtake us, and he keeps saying us like he's human, but you're not, dude. You're a cyborg Sentinel creation, basically. But his human. It's very ironic in a dark sense. Like, he's fighting for humanity, even though his fight for humanity is built upon creating these human and Sentinel hybrids to fight off the mutants. Like, you're trying to fight for humanity by stripping away people's humanity, in a sense. I just find that extremely fascinating by Bastion, who enters the spotlight with such like vile nature, and he kind of, even though he's not human, he exemplifies humans' apathy. Like, and he mentions this, like he's feeding off of their apathy. He's feeling off of their unsympathetic nature towards mutants, because there's always going to be that fear of us versus them, and he's kind of feeding that. He's feeding that fear and making it more into a war, that kind of feeding into Magneto's ideology here.
Yeah.
And I liked that because it's building up. Bastion's building up his like whole mutant versus human agenda, and then we get Magneto kind of being proven right at the very end. He was like, maybe Magneto was right, and we get the Magneto's whole moment here. It is building up to Magneto being right, but then at the last minute, who comes into the screen? Professor X, who is also very much pro mutants and pro humans. And it was like the episode's building up to the Magneto was right of it all, but is Magneto right? Is there a way out? And I think Professor X can help solve the situation that is escalating into a full-blown war here in the final 2 episodes. So I have no idea what's going to happen this Wednesday, but oh my gosh, sorry, I'm just rambling, but I'm so excited for the future of the show.
No, yeah, there's so many great stuff. I mean, Bastion is the villain's name.
Yeah.
I think he's the same voice actor from the Bad Batch.
Dude, I paused it. I'm like, is that Jimmy? Is that Hemlock? Is that Hemlock? I think it's somebody else. I look at it. I think it's somebody else, but he sounds just like Hemlock, who is my guy.
It's insane. And the bone chilling scene in that last episode too, with when the Summers visit his mother's house. And she starts going into this thing of just like, oh, he was a very like artistic boy, and I want to show you this piece he made, and it's like this apocalyptic genocide of mutants through these Sentinels, and she's like, it's called The Final Dream. I'm like, oh my god, this is so fucking gross.
That's gnarly, yeah.
It's insane. Right before she like contorts into one of the Sentinel people, and I'm like, your own mom, no.
It's horrifying, yeah.
Oh, it's so terrifying. There's so many great Magneto moments. Like, there's like not many people would have a terrorist act as their leader, yet so many leaders would allow to be act as terrorists. I'm like, what the fuck? This is insane and true. It's so compelling. And also I love the moment in like I think it's around the 2nd episode when he goes to the UN and they get attacked upon, and he just like carries them all to like the edge of space.
So good.
It's like, I promised my friend that I would coexist with humanity, so please don't let me fail you.
Don't let me fail. Yeah, that was a great line. Yeah.
Don't give me an excuse,
basically. Yeah.
God, it's so good. So many great moments. I also love when Charles is on the other planet trying to convince the higher council people.
The Shi'ars.
Yeah. And just trying to like convince, like, like you have all like these set like ways, but like why? Like who came up with these silly rules? Why is that to be this way?
He literally schools them. He's like, oh wait, I forgot I'm Professor X, and then just wipes them out.
And I forget exactly what one of them said, of just basically making like an excuse to like their people, like how they couldn't accept it. And Charles was like, yes, the rhyme to sell the lie. Like, why it doesn't have to be this way. Who made it this way? It's like, you did. You don't have to do that.
Yeah, it was great.
I
love the show so much. It's intense, but also very politically and socially complex.
Yeah.
And I'm just attached to the team dynamic, which you mentioned up top. Like the team dynamic is so special and so interesting. Like there's no like cliches of anything of the sort. Also, I forgot we didn't mention, but Storm's whole storyline has been very interesting as well. I'm glad that she's back in the forefront, and she's definitely gonna help save the day either this week or next week for sure.
Absolutely, she's been phenomenal. A lot of characters getting great new looks throughout. I'm adoring that storyline. Also, the animation has been beautiful. It fits consistently. I saw one today that I was like, oh, I'm gonna fucking steal that because that's a genius. There's a shot in like the most recent episode where like Jean is like in front of Cyclops while he's talking, or behind Cyclops while he's talking to the team while she's walking away, and I'm like looking and I was like, wait, hold the fuck up, hold on. I rewound. And I was like, because like she's walking, so like you see her like her arms moving, her torso's moving, and I'm like looking at like, did her legs even move? And like from the frame, her legs aren't moving. The shadow cast behind her is shifting left to right, so they didn't have to like keep drawing.
Oh, that's so smart.
But it looks just like she's walking. I'm like, what the fuck? There's so many,
seamless.
So many tips that you could just like take to just like cut corners to be efficient.
You saw that on Twitter, you said?
No, just me watching on Disney
just
Plus.
you
I
watching,
rewound.
yeah.
I was like, hey, I like that.
That's really cool.
Man.
But yeah, I want to move on to some other stuff. But yeah, SP97 is just really good. It's really sharp, and we'll definitely be talking about the finale when that drops next week. But yeah, let's talk about Challengers real quick. Let's do Challengers, then Fall Guy here. I only have like 20 minutes left, but I really want to talk about like Challengers here.
Mm-hmm.
Phenomenal movie. I love Dune Part 2. I think Dune Part 2 is still my favorite movie of the year, but Challengers is right up there with it. And talk about complex, emotional relationships. The love triangle here. I call it the chaotic love between Art, Tashi, and Patrick. The three main characters in Challengers here, where their love of tennis and especially the love of each other is very chaotically mixed. Because their passions are inevitably mixed in terms of tennis and what they're willing to bring to it all. And again, the movie overall by Luca Guadagnino, I probably butchered his last name, but Luca, who made like Call Me by Your Name and Bones and All, which is one of my favorites from him as well. Challengers might be my favorite. It's very commercial, but Bones and All might be still my favorite. I don't know. It's hard to say. But he's just an all-around fantastic director. I love the intensity of this movie. This movie moves with like electricity. It is astonishing how well paced this movie is, especially the last 10 minutes, which is one of the best sports anime moments I've ever seen. Full spoilers for Astrologers, by the way. So I love the last 10 minutes of them just completely going at it. The tennis ball scene with Art or with Patrick showcasing like, yeah, I had sex with Tashi, but it wasn't used as like a fuck you, Art. It was so weird, right? Because it was used as a way to be like, yeah, this happened, and kind of invigorated or activated Art in a sense.
I was watching, and I was like, I didn't think he would do it, but I was like, if he were to fucking do that, oh my god! And he did it. And I'm just like,
did your audience go crazy?
Well, no, I didn't have too many people in my showing. I did go to the IMAX though, and I'm just like, this is some intense shit to be hearing in IMAX surround sound.
I bet. I wish I saw this in IMAX. Because my audience went crazy at that point. Just started laughing because it's like it was a big moment. Especially when something builds up appropriately. So even if you can see it coming, when it happens, it's just so euphoric.
It really is. And there's so many great moments. Like they did like a POV of the tennis ball being hit.
How did they do that? How?
I was like, did you hit a fucking GoPro? How did you do this?
Boom, and slow it down. Yeah, it was insane. Like that was some movie magic right there. The cut from them beneath the tennis tennis
beneath the court, yeah, where it was
beneath the court.
Out,
yeah.
As if they were like playing on glass or something.
Stunning. Like they did aerial shots beneath the tennis, as a tennis ball, like so many different perspectives to capture the like high intensity of the whole situation. Yeah. It was a magical to watch.
There was a funny bit, just funny for me, is like there's a scene like toward the beginning where like their daughter comes in the room and she asks if she can watch Spider-Verse.
Oh yeah, I started laughing so hard. I'm like, which one is she watching? Into or Across?
I think it was probably Into, but I thought it was so funny because not only that, but like as they're like starting to have a serious conversation, I can hear Spider-Verse playing in the background. And I'm like,
yeah, I was like, oh shit. What have you heard? Metro.
Really shit.
That was very funny, especially because of course Zendaya, in the Spider-Man franchise. I was like, that's amazing. That's really cute.
Very cool. But yeah, there's the chemistry. Yes, is great. I would equate this film to be like the tennis version of Whiplash in a sense of just the way the dynamics go. I mean, it's very like reconciled with the guy's friendship, but like in terms of like trying to connect with Tashi, it seems like I don't know if she has ever like had that pure connection of like actual like love with either of them. It really feels like it's the love of the game over anything.
It's so interesting to dive into, man. I think inside of her, she's not a heartless person where she's I never loved these two. I think there is a. I don't know. I don't think she's that heartless. I think she does.
It felt a little heartless when there's a scene where it's just like deciding where my life goes here, and it's like, can you just hold me till I fall asleep? It's like, yeah, I'll do that. And then immediately after, it's like, all right, I'm gonna go fuck this guy.
Yeah, that
like,
was hard.
That hurts.
Was that during? Was that when she already had the child? That when she already.
Oh yeah, that was well into. That was like toward the. That was the day before the final.
The day before the final match. Yeah, you're right.
That was
I got the storytelling mixed up there. So
it
yeah,
bounce back a lot in timelines.
Yeah, which I admire. It was very bold storytelling. It wasn't really as confusing, but sometimes I was just like, okay, where are we at again? But it didn't take away from my enjoyment of the film. Kind of elevated it in essence, because it kind of made earlier scenes even better, and it made later scenes even better, retroactively. So I loved that aspect of it all. But I don't know, man. I think at some point she did like art. But there was a shadow hanging over it in terms of like her love of tennis. And then she also had that sexual attraction to Patrick, who was very, extremely skilled, way more skilled than like Art, for example. But she had that sexual attraction to Patrick, while I think she had more of an emotional connection to Art. It's kind of hard to say there. But then I think overall, she missed her enjoyment of tennis. And then she lived vicariously through Art, who was still in the game and had a lot of potential, and she her love of tennis was kind of connected to her love of him, and that's why it was so pivotal that she wanted him to continue tennis even afterwards, even though he was kind of like out of the game. He wanted to retire, and I think if he wants to retire, then her love of tennis would dissipate, because what else would she have anymore? If she would just have to be a mom, how dare she, right? So I think that whole relationship was very critical as well. And I like how she doesn't go over there just to fuck Patrick. She goes over there to force Patrick to lose the match so that Art can continue the game, so that she can still love volleyball. Which again, or tennis.
This is not Haikyuu.
I know. I'm sorry. Every sports thing is Haikyuu to me. So I love that.
And then volleyball and times laser. It'll be okay.
Oh, thank you very much. Please. And then I just love the final 10 minutes because it kind of encapsulates the whole movie, where she comes activated by their enjoyment and their their action on the tennis court. Come on, like it is. Oh man, some great acting from Zendaya there to close out the movie, and then you see them smiling and then hugging at the end, which I thought was very
do the final slam over the net, and then he catches him in like the most like loving embrace on both sides of them. Like they're both happy of the outcome.
It's so interesting, right? It's like, and I love how it just ends there. I think I told you, but my dad hates the ending because he thinks it's very cheesy and corny. I told Edgar, but yeah, my dad hates the ending. He thinks it's cheesy and corny, and like, what's gonna happen next? So Patrick's obviously or Art's definitely gonna divorce Zendaya now, right? It's like, I don't think any of that matters. It doesn't matter who gets custody of the kid. It doesn't matter how upset he is with Zendaya for having sex with Patrick. Like at the end of the day, it's like their friendship, their love for each other kind of seals the deal for the movie. It's still, of course, going to be very messy. But in that moment, in that specific match on that day, they got a rise of each other in a positive and complex way. I think was ultimately healthy, but also very messy at the same time. It's kind of hard to say in one word what it means. But yeah, I just think Josh O'Connor, of course, Zendaya and Mike Feist was just phenomenal in this movie, especially Zendaya. Probably my favorite Zendaya performance, probably my favorite Zendaya movie. Like it was fantastic.
I could see these three performances getting noms, man. I really can.
I really could. And any other, I wish this came out in November, so I'll be more confident about that.
Yeah.
But Zendaya, I think, would be definitely the one to look out for here, more so than the other two. Even though the other two were great, Zendaya definitely just stole the scene and really anchored the heart of the movie, even though she's a heartless character in certain ways.
Yeah. I think we're breaking up Itachi. The fucking Saw.
The Saw meme. Great. If nobody's seen the Saw 6 or 5 meme,
Saw 7.
7, of course it is. meme. You're right, because it was a very disgusting opening. I'm like, this isn't what's going on here. It's kind of icky. It felt like a Saw 7 kind of thing. So yeah, that's challengers. Oh, I also loved how she's not in control, because a lot of the movie is centered around like, is she manipulating events? Is she doing all this kind of stuff? She's not in a lot of the control. I do like how some of our people and our friends mentioned how this interviewer was like, I think Art was completely innocent in this entire movie, and Zendaya, it was just during an interview. So this interviewer was interviewing Zendaya, Mike, and Josh. And he's like, I think Art, I'm just saying, I think Art was perfectly innocent. I'm like, you really got that from the movie. And Art is very like not as passionate as the other two, but he's not completely innocent either. The whole second act of this movie, early in the second act, during the college era for these characters, when Patrick is the one going out with Tashi.
Yeah, they were having lunch, and he was
having lunch,
planting that seed of like, he doesn't love you, which then led into one of many great oneers, where it's an intimate scene that then breaks apart into like a disassociated connection that Tashi acts cold as a result of it, whereas Patrick was like very genuine and caring, and he's just like, what the fuck, why am I here then? Why?
Yeah.
And then causing him to walk out, and then leaving Tashi focused on her face, like, oh shit, what happened?
And then Tashi's distracted because of the argument, and that's exactly when she breaks her knee.
Which was practical?
Which was practical, yeah. You can see a whole discussion about all that. So that was just a very amazing sequence of events there. So I think Patrick was manipulating certain events. Art was, Tashi was, like, they were all very much manipulative and conniving in their own ways throughout this movie. I adored it. I gave it like 4.5 out of 5 stars, or maybe 5. I don't know what I did. But it's my second favorite movie of the year for sure.
I got out of it. It was my number 4 on my list of the year, and then as I like sat with it, I was like, okay, I'm bumping to number 2. It's just not good.
I'm gonna give it 5 stars.
I'm thinking 5. Everything I fucking watch is 5 stars. But I do want to give like a quick 1 or 2 minutes to briefly say about Kung Fu Panda 4, since I did see it.
Yes.
A good time. Granted, I was kind of tired when I was watching it in the morning.
Dude, I was exhausted. I saw it after school on a Friday. I think it was the Friday that it came out, and I was like very tired. And I was like, man, I should have saw this later on when I was more awake. So there were certain things to kind of miss because I was tired. But yeah, I think I did enjoy the movie though.
Yeah, I did too. I was still cognizant of like everything.
Yeah,
I thought there was great stuff. I thought like of the villains they brought back, they focused on Tai Lung, which I was like, this is the best one.
Definitely a smart choice.
And the idea of like having Tai Lung reconcile with Po as the Dragon Warrior before he re-enters the afterlife is very beautiful. That is a great decision.
Great moment. I agree.
A little sad.
I wish Tai Lung was in it more. I think there was more they could dive into it, his role there.
Like imagine like a reunion scene with him and Shifu. That would have been great.
Yeah. I think there was more they left on the cutting table with them for sure.
Because Shifu, like, while having a presence, is kind of sidelined in the series after 1.
Yeah.
But I am baffled at of No Furious 5 whatsoever.
Weird.
Second. Very weird. I don't know if it was just like a booking of casting thing, but even so, it was just like, pay the money to Angelina and get Tigers in.
What's Angelina doing now? Eternals 2? I don't think so. Get her in here.
I don't know.
Tigress? Yeah,
that was odd. I didn't think Awkwafina was bad in this whatsoever.
No, I just think her role. It was hard to connect to. No, I made the point in my review. I think I said like I like where Poe's journey went in terms of his hero's journey was very much encapsulated in Kung Fu Panda 3, but they decided to continue it here, which is kind of got me nervous. But his role here is very interesting. It's time for you to pass on what you've learned to an apprentice. It's very much like a post-hero's journey archetype, Last Jedi Luke kind of thing.
Yeah, I was like, Poe's in his TLJ era already?
I like that. I'm like, okay, that makes a lot of sense. The cutting some corners here in terms of the Joseph Campbell of it all.
Mhm.
But it makes a lot of sense. Find somebody to pass on your knowledge. And for Poe, it's kind of like, what have I learned? Can I even do that? Do I have enough to pass on to somebody else? And am I ready to give that up? I think that whole structure for his journey was very important and very good. But and I like his chemistry with Awkwafina, and she was fine. I just felt like the connection could have been stronger if it was somebody I was more closely related to, especially by the fourth film, which I think Tigers would have been more appropriate here.
That was another thing, is like I felt like of making such a big decision, it feels weird to not have some of Poe's closest friends, especially Tigress, like in on this journey and like finding this viewpoint of like, imagine like coming from a person of like, I trained my entire life thinking I would be the Dragon Warrior. Let me try to help you find somebody who like genuinely would appreciate it, isn't just like looking for glory or something.
Exactly. So that was kind of, a little bit messy there. But I think, and overall, I think the emotional connection to this movie because of that was kind of weakened. It felt more standalone than the other ones. Much later, obviously, but I just think there was a lack of an emotional connection because it was all these new characters, new environments. But I do like how the father, both fathers were very involved in this one. I liked that aspect.
That was cute. Now we all love Viola Davis, but I think this was the weakest villain of the series.
I agree. I can't even, for the life of me, remember her motivation. It was just like, taking over past people from the past villains and stuff, so she can become stronger. Greed, the villain hero dynamic in all three of the movies had some kind of good thematic tie-in, and I couldn't really connect with that in this one.
So it's some interesting ideas. It's not bad.
No, it's not. No. It's a fun movie. I would love to revisit this on the podcast for sure.
Absolutely. I think it's still like a fun watch in the grand scheme. Although I don't think I would want this to be my final kick in the Kung Fu Panda world.
Me neither. Just one more movie with them, and the movie was a success. So I think they could one more movie with everybody back together again. Kind of like a Nice Me 3 situation that they have going on there. Like, it's not it. We have one left in us. I think that'd be fun for sure. Maybe you can see. I don't know. Did the movie end like Awkwafina kind of like getting that mantle and then just I don't know.
Well, starting to train with it. The Furious Five do show up to help in her training, and she's kind of like fumbling around like Poe did when he started, which is
got
nice.
it. Okay. Maybe I fell asleep with that part, but I would love to do a commentary to fully capture my thoughts on that movie. But yeah, I was like 3.5 out of 5. I think overall, it was solid effort. Enjoyable, but just not as emotionally interesting as the other ones.
I did find it weird that like Shifu was like asking Poe, like, all right, here's 4 candidates, pick somebody. It's like, did you learn nothing from movie 1?
It kind of felt so detached. He felt so detached, like, hey, this is your job. Like Shifu, by the point of Kung Fu Panda 3, isn't like that anymore. So it kind of went against his character a little bit there. Real quick, let's do a couple minutes on the Fall Guy.
Yeah,
I can do like 5 or 7 minutes. Yeah.
Now I was going in because like Josh was raving about it a month ago. So
I know, lucky LA motherfucker.
Yeah. So I go in and I'm like, hey, I'm looking forward to it for sure, and good cast. And then I go in and God damn it, Evan, it's not just funny. It's quite heartfelt.
Yeah, extremely heartfelt, extremely earnest, and I was like, holy shit, my heart like my heart grew 5 sizes that day because I was like, it was so heartwarming to see such a heartfelt and earnest rom-com by these two people who genuinely love each other, all amongst crazy action and fantastic chemistry between Emily Blunt and Ryan Gosling. I think they were just perfectly matched together in this movie, arguably more so than Ryan Gosling and Margot and Barbie. I love their connection. Not as good as Ryan and Emma. I'm just saying. I'm kidding, but not kidding. I just love their connection. It was very heartfelt, and I missed having rom-com adventure movies like this. It was just a combination of genres that all melded together so well.
What was really like refreshing is like there was like a stint of like Bad Blood between them, but that was just like very quickly established at the beginning, and they reconcile that pretty fast. So you could just spend the movie like developing that connection with them, which is a brilliant move.
I was so happy about that. It kind of gets resolved via Emily's, or I forget the director of her character's name, but
Yeah.
Emily's whole hilarious, one of the best scenes of the year, where she's just like berating him on set, like, "Hey, I don't have the script on me, but about these two characters who kind of fell in love, but one dished the other for a year. Ryan, do you want to explain how that happened? What your character's really thinking about here? Why this happened? Like all in front of the
feel about this. I think he'd want to try again.
I think you want to. I have a question. Does your characters not talk privately in this world? No, they do everything public. Like I was dying.
Listen, dude, just back and forth.
It was brilliant. It was brilliant.
So
I loved. And after that, they kind of had that whole car scene, Taylor Swift scene, which was hilarious. Can you drive me to my car? 5 feet away. It was great. It was a great gag.
He immediately turned the song back on too.
It was amazing. And I think, like you said, after that, they could just settle on, like, yeah, they do like each other. There's no, like, I hate him back and forth. She obviously had doubts along the way. But, their love for each other was very genuine throughout the entire movie. You could really feel that. The mystery element, I think, early on was solid. I think it gets a bit too much at the end. My only criticism for this movie is that, like, the mystery element lasts a bit too long, and the ending is too much at the end. I think the movie ends like 10 minutes earlier or something like that, or you can shave off a couple minutes at the end.
It is funny. After he fakes his death in the boat crash, I thought we were heading into like the final resolution at that point, but then we had a whole other act.
We had a whole other act. And I think that was fine. Again, I had fun with it the entire time. Yeah. I just think narratively it got too bloated at the end, too much of like having to dupe Aaron Taylor Johnson, having to dupe Hannah Mottenham's characters. Like it's too much of the mystery of it all, and and the heartfelt of it all. The chemistry between Ryan and Emily was still there, but I wanted a bit more romance at the end compared to the hey, we got him, like the Scooby-Doo angle of it all. Like you didn't have to do all that. It's like I wanted more just Ryan, Emma, love with mixed with some action.
Yeah, that being said, though, like with every like roadblock that Ryan does run into, I do love that his entire time he's just like, I just want to get out of this situation because I just want to get to her. I just want to complete this, and that's wonderful. And he cares about her dream of like no matter like how much deep shit they're in, like morally speaking, he's like, I don't want to throw away her dream and put her in director's jail. I want her to have a successful career. And that's so wonderful.
The whole time he was trying to really just fight for her career, fight for her livelihood, stuff like that. So that was very smart and very heartwarming to see that. Like he's fighting for her, but fighting for her dreams as well.
Yeah, and it's a wonderful celebration of stuntmen all around.
Yeah. Yeah, keep on talking. Give me 1 second.
I got you. So that was just wonderful to see, especially during the credits of just like the compilation of like the real sets they were doing for the movie. I was even like really shocked to see that like during like the dragging on the back of the truck scene was actually Ryan doing the stunt, which was really cool.
That was really cool. That truck scene was amazing, by the way. I love the whole swing through the city. It was crazy. It was goofy, but
it was wonderful. It was a great soundtrack. Apparently, it's based on an OG TV show, and I think that's who like was at the end was like a cameo of that original.
Yeah, I had no idea. I thought that was like okay. I know he wanted to make it against the OG, but nobody knows who that guy is. Or at least most people watching this movie didn't. But it was cool. It was a cool homage.
Yeah.
But yeah, I had a blast with this movie. It was so fun. It was one of those movies where I'm just like, I can see myself watching this again and again and again because it's so much fun. It's so chaotic, but not chaotic in a way that I was lost any of the time. It was just so crazy. And the movie puns, the love of cinema, the love of stunts was felt in every scene of this movie. And I appreciated that so much because inside baseball guy as we are, we kind of understood a lot of those like Julia Roberts references, the Memento reference to Christopher Nolan, the Dwayne The Rock Johnson or the Bourne quotes. Like I was so into all of it all. It was amazing.
The Momoa gag at the end of the recast was very funny.
Very funny, especially for like the Dune parallels of it all. And having Momoa on there as well was just very funny.
I was like, look, if you want to make this a real movie, I'd watch it.
I'd watch it in a second. It kind of reminded me of like the Tropic Thunder gag as well, of course. But yeah, I have to head out. So yeah, if people are watching this, please go see movies like Fall Guy, especially because it didn't do that well opening weekend. I really want people to see it the following weekend, even though Apes is coming out. Go see Apes, of course.
Yeah.
But if you have time, go see Fall Guy as well this week. I would love that. So yeah, the Fall Guy was great. Check out Kung Fu Panda 4, which came out months ago. So you haven't seen that, probably on DVD already.
It's on digital now, yeah.
It's on digital. It's on Peacock any day now, probably. And then Challengers, of course. Challengers had like a sub 50% drop this week in the box office, so people are still checking it out.
Yeah.
Thank God, because it's so excellent.
Yeah, if you want, I think if you want intensity, go see Challengers. If you want like a fun, heartfelt time, go see Fall Guy. If you want a good horror movie, go see Abigail.
Exactly, Abigail's a blast too. Radio Silence is just making movies straight up my jam. Find me on Twitter at HarrisEV9. Again, I'll be talking all things anime, X-Men 97, stuff like that daily as I close out my school year too. My last day is coming up soon at the end of this month, so very excited.
Nice. You can follow me at _TimeBlazer. Make sure call TimeBlazer with co-starring creative consultant Evan Harris.
Boom. Plain Ben.
And with that being said, if you guys enjoyed this, make sure you like button, subscribe, and already ring the bell so you miss future My Cup of Teas. And that being said, hope you have a great day. I'll catch you guys next time.